This is Sonic, and you're watching JD Frank 20.
What is up, everybody? And here's the Sonic Superstars official review right here. Now, I know a lot of you are probably wondering, you've already seen some reviews here and there from IGN and other sources here and there. You've even seen a couple of YouTubers even give their honest take on what Superstars is, what their overall score is. That's understandable, but for me, I'm giving you the God-honest truth of my personal experience with this game. So, if your opinions are going to differ from mine, that's understandable. Look, I'm just giving you all the rundown, and we can discuss it in the comments section what you agree or don't agree with my take. So, let's just get started. Now, for Sonic Superstars, I did enjoy the level design for all the stages. Again, it's all original, fresh level design. You have to give Sonic Team and SEGA as a whole credit for all of that. I understand a lot of you are disappointed, like, oh, this is nothing like Sonic Mania. Well, yeah, of course it's not Sonic Mania. It's not pixelated art. I mean, you're going in a new direction right here. I love the fact that all the stages are original, at least, or they pay homages to classic stages that you've seen before. So I'm always going to give credit for originality, at least. Other than that, the soundtrack for me, it really didn't bother me when you think about it. I did enjoy it here and there. Again, I mean, we all have differences of opinions when it comes to the soundtrack. Like, a lot of you have lofty expectations for the soundtrack, as you should. At SEGA, they should always bang it out of the park when it comes to the soundtrack. And, you have a right to voice your frustrations. I don't blame you on that. But other than that, I mean, the gameplay itself felt great, and all the characters are playable. And yeah, everyone has a unique special ability. Sonic, of course, has the drop dash. Tails can fly. Knuckles can glide. Amy has a double jump, and her hammer swing while double jumping acts like an insta shield. So right off the bat, Amy by far is the most overpowered character to use if you're just going to be platforming here and there. But if you just want to have a comfortable breeze, you can use Knuckles or you can use Tails. Sonic, on the other hand, is considered the hard mode when you think about it. I mean, there's only so much a drop dash can do for you, and you don't even have a double jump. So for Sonic, it's one of the, you're playing by old school standards, so good luck on that. And of course, Trip, the new character introduced, she's the 5th playable character, which is fantastic. And her gameplay is actually unique. I mean, yes, Trip is basically the hard mode of the game because it's going by Sonic 3 and Knuckles logic. Like, her story takes place after the events of the main story. So the boss fights are a little bit more difficult, but Trip's abilities make up for it. The fact that she has a double jump, but at the same time, she can also cling onto walls thanks to her spiky shield, or quills. That's fantastic right there. She makes the entire adventure a breeze. And of course, the Chaos Emeralds carry over between all the team members, so you can immediately transform into your super state immediately, which is fantastic right there. Yeah, man, I know a lot of you are complaining about the difficulty spike, especially with the Fang the Hunter segments. Look, it's to be expected. This game's not going to hold your hand. I personally didn't have any issues with them. I mean, I know a lot of them, a lot of the segments could be a little difficult here and there, especially the final boss for Trip when using Fang, because one of the attacks can be very cheap, but you have to prepare for it. Other than that, I mean, everything else is pretty simple. The Eggman boss fights are unique here and there. Again, it's not going to hold your hand. I mean, a lot of people have been struggling with the Sky Temple boss fight, or to avoid those electric orbs, you actually have to free fall. But to control the free fall, you actually have to hold down the D-pad. That's how you avoid that attack. And then, of course, hit Eggman in the weak spot. That's all you gotta do. Now, there is another boss fight that people absolutely despise, which is the Egg Walker press fight in Press Factory. I know a lot of people don't like that fight because the AI can actually get you for a cheap death, because on the segment that you're going to spin dash left or right to try to avoid that crusher segment, it does a complete 180 and gets you on the direction you were going and gives you a cheap death. So yeah, it's one of those situations. And that boss fight can be very difficult, if you're not using Chaos Emerald abilities. I know a lot of you are probably going to say, like, well, we should be able to beat the entire game without using Chaos Emerald abilities. That is true, but you're going to have more of a difficult experience. So it's up to you. I mean, do you want to have the entire game be a Cuphead adventure, have it be difficult, or do you want to have at least a decent time by using Chaos Emerald abilities to breeze comfortably? It's your choice. Again, no one's forcing you to use these Chaos Emerald abilities. You have that flexibility, though. So that's just the way it is. Now, for Sonic Superstars, I do love the true final boss. I mean, it's cool. It's a throwback to Sonic Heroes when you think about it. In fact, this whole game kind of feels like a throwback to Sonic Heroes. Like, you got to complete the regular story, get the Chaos Emeralds, and of course complete Trip's story, and then of course to unlock final story. So it's going by that logic, which makes sense. since Takashi Iizuka and Sonic Team are the co-developers along with Naoto Oshima and his team. So it makes perfect sense when you think about it. You know, it adds a lot of replayability here and there, and I like that. Yeah, now the true final boss, it is cool here and there. Now, it's a purple demon dragon, obviously. And, you know, again, you know, a lot of people may think it's kind of a disappointing final boss fight compared to what you're used to. Again, Sonic Mania spoiled a lot of you. I get it, but I honestly think the story for Sonic Superstars is actually a little bit better than Mania. All Mania's story was just the origins of the Phantom Ruby, that's it. No Chaos Emeralds, no nothing. And again, you know, we're at least here at Superstars, the story was at least a little bit more interesting. I mean, you got Fang the Hunter returning at least. That alone is a huge victory. And his boss segments, you know, they can be challenging, but at least it's justified. You know, he's Eggman's second in command. They should be difficult fights. You know, and of course, Trip, obviously being the new playable 5th character, she has her side story. And of course, her and Amy Rose are very good friends. Amy's the one who was very compassionate towards her. And she's the one who introduced Trip to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles because she was afraid after she met them. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, they all got along, so which is fantastic. Everybody, you have to realize that Naoto Oshima and Takashi Iizuka, in an official interview, explained that Sonic Superstars was geared towards new Sonic the Hedgehog fans and longtime veterans of the franchise to enjoy playing the game as intended. This is not meant for so-called pro gamers who wanted a difficult time for Sonic games similar to what we had in Frontiers. You know, I mean, for Sonic Frontiers, I mean, let's be real, the Final Horizons just felt like a gauntlet. It was exhausting, it was stressful, it was overbearing, it felt like a Kaizo-style gameplay, and I myself even gave an honest opinion on it, especially Trials 2 and 5 are not fun. You know, a lot of you could spin the narrative how you want, saying, oh, just playing on easy mode and you'll have a fun time. That's not the point. The point is, it shouldn't have been that difficult to begin with, but again, what's done is done. Trip being added as a main playable character is fantastic. Many thought she was going to be DLC. And speaking of DLC for Sonic Superstars, you know what the potential for Superstars DLC will be. I think Ray and Mighty will be included as DLC characters. But I honestly want to see Sonic Superstars get the same treatment as Sonic Frontiers Update 3, where there should be another story included where Fang, you know, says, screw Dr. Eggman, I don't need his help, I'll just get my old crew back. So you have the Hooligan Gang joining up again, but Trip's gonna need some help, and that's where she has Ray and Mighty come save the day, and that'd be a perfect team right there when you think about it. It makes perfect sense. Those are my final thoughts, you know, for Sonic Superstars. I mean, I stand what I said. I give it a 9 out of 10 from my personal experience. You know, everybody else has been giving it 8 out of 10, which is understandable. It's a fair score, and it's a very solid score. But everybody, let me know what your experience with this game, you know, was. You know, like, did you have issues with it? Just leave them in the comment section, and we'll go from there. Peace out.